analysis. Now that part of the research you have gathered a lot of information about your user, now you go back to your office and then analyze this data. How do you do that? What sort of data? So at this analysis stage, what you're going to actually do it is analyze furthermore about your users and then look for some trends and then finalize your scope of requirement or go in depth of your focus of requirement and then user journey as well. How do you do all of that? Sit down, collaborate with the rest of your team and then analyze those data. There are techniques available, but then due to short of time, I may not be able to cover all the techniques here, but then a simple analysis would help as well. Then, after your analysis, you will be creating a persona or set of personas. I'll be talking about that little while, and then you will end up having some user journeys as well. Very good. So finding the personas. So persona is something going to look like this, a picture of the person, so that rest of your team can empathize. Okay, this is the person going to look like, a name, okay, Andy. With age, basic information, where do they live, and then probably some detail about how they do things day in, day out, their goals, are they looking for, what sort of goals they are trying to use tech, would they not use tech, would they use apps more or website more, things like that you can figure out. Or are they creative people or passionate people? These are something you can come out of personalities and behaviors as well. And this is not the only way to do personas again. So this is one example I put you out there, but whatever the information you want to put about your end user group, you can put it out there. So this is one of the deliverable as well, part of your evening challenge. So there you go. So after completing your personas, who is your target group, you end up going into user journey maps. You list down all the tasks they will be doing and then list down list of steps they will be moving forward and then where they will end up to a specific goal. Behind you can see one of the picture where you can put it out on a wall and then with sticky papers. It's easy to do with sticky papers because whenever you don't like it, take it off and put it back again with another sticky paper as well. Or you can do it in, now that lot of us are working from home, so you can do with digital modes as well. There are whiteboards, take Miro, or even a simple whiteboard, take it out and do it as well. But even if you don't have anything, take a pen and paper and put your user journeys down. So once you have your user journeys, you probably would have put it for one particular scenario. Then you will end up putting it for further scenarios as well, lot more scenarios, and then your entire user journey is going to look like. But then sometimes this is where you will identify features are, but then sometimes you will not be able to do all the features in one go, so where you will have to phase it out. This can be due to business don't have money, or this can be due to it's going to take long to develop it, or you just want to approach your customers with one product instead and then look for their behaviors and furthermore add on things. So that's how you will use phase out. And then how do you phase out? Depending on the opportunities you're looking at, that's how you will phase out the features. So now the analysis done, you have set of user personas, user journey mapping also there, and some more features there, and then more defined goal. Earlier also we looked at what user goals are, but at this time you will be defining it furthermore with user goals, but along with business goal. It doesn't matter if your user have a low goal, but then you're not in that business, so there's no point doing that at all. So this is where you will gap the bridge between the business and the user. Sometimes you identify there is a problem with the user, but then you wanted to tackle it, maybe the business might not be interested in doing that business. That happens a lot at times as well. So, next step, where before even you move on, this is the crucial part to look at. You have a lot of information about your user. How do you put through a foundation of design where it's mostly targeting on information of the user and information how they interact with things. So one of the things is where you need to come across is information architecture. This is mainly for if you're doing a digital product. It is not for a physical product or for a physical experience. It's mainly for a digital product. Furthermore, actually more for a site or app, this will work more. So how do you put information architecture together? This is where your user is going to navigate through information into your site. Or go further, drill down, or I come to the home screen. Where I go further next, that is where. So depending on the product you have, you want to put the information which you wanted to pitch in the front itself so that they get attracted to. Furthermore, sub-information, furthermore, little details about it then can go as well. So once you organize in that manner, then you will be putting it in a structure is where people can easily understand the words you're using and then go further in details in that as well. One other thing you will do, part of the foundation, is user flows, where the flow is going to be. Now that you have a structure where the flow is going to be of the user in each of their steps, and then in the design screen where they are. And then earlier on you had the information. Here is where the sequence will happen. This is where the user will do this. User will click here, move here, like that things will happen at this stage. So after the foundation, you will end up with an information architecture, very much important before even you go on to doing a design. And then you will have user flows as well. This is where you finally move on to visual design. Okay. I put a simple way, since we have a lot of audience or something anyone can practice. If you are in a concept stage of the product, this is something you can do. Create a mood board is where how you all want to feel your product for, or how your product is related to how it's going to look like. So put some pictures. There's ample of images out there, so you can put some pictures together, collate and put it and see, okay, this is how I want my product to look like, or this is how I want my product to feel like, or this is how I'm going to pitch my product to the user. Then moving on, you don't need too much of a tool, just pen and a paper, anyone can do it. Just draw some boxes and things like that, put together a journey for the users. Okay, this is where they'll click. In the right side, you can see a small example you put through. Not much of a specialization needed to put this through. I think anyone can do this. Sketch it and see whether your concept is going to work on. And then find out whether your user will get it. How do you do that? You can still talk to the users. You've already been talking to the users, right? So show it to them and figure it out and then optimize the flow that way. So finally, only after this step only you will be moving on to the actual visual design of it. I have not included a slide for how to do visual design because I'm not sure whether it's a tool we have to go further details, but then this will help for now. So at the end of it, you will have some low fidelity wireframes or some sketches, so where you will put together some flows, and then you can end up moving to high fidelity, where there are tools out there you can use them to design for more high fidelity wireframe, and then once you have high fidelity, you can do prototypes as well. But again, prototypes doesn't need you to have digital. You can do prototypes on paper as well. You can have sketch out mobile, and then you can still test it as well with the prototype. All right. So final part. So let's give a quick check. So we did user research and discovery, foundation, visual design. Now we have to come to the validation part, the most important part every other speaker is talking about. If you don't test your designs with the validate your designs with your end users, you're not going to get anywhere. Everybody spoke about it, you know that by now. Why do you have to? These are some of the ways you can do. At the initial stages, if you have sketched through or if you have put through something, there can be colleagues or there can be peers out there. You can test it with the peers because they already have some expert knowledge. That is where you will figure out some basics are missing. So when you start working as a young UX designer, there can be leads out there. They can figure out already, okay, you're missing this point here, you're missing this point here. Who can help you already? But then, where the end game is, you go and test it out with your user. Your peer is not your user. Because they can just give you expert knowledge, that's about it, because they would have worked on different digital product, but they are not your end user. Or your client is not your end user either. If your client is not letting you go to your end user, I think it's you to convince them, somehow figure out, and then go out there and test it out, or you go and test it. Because it doesn't matter whether you have money or whether you have budget or not, but if you're not testing with the end user, this is not going to work out. Because what happens if it's not going to work out is where you, by this time you would have developed it. This goes to development. Some developers sit together and develop it. And a QA test is done. Somebody would have put some money into it. And later, after 3 months, when we launch the product, we figure out, oh, this is not working. This is not how I do things. And it goes to then, so much money, effort, everything is taken. All goes to waste at that time. So user testing is important if you have done it in the initial stage. Why do you do that? Because you don't want the user to feel bad about it, so that so many people are observing me and things like that. You don't want to corner them, so only the moderator talk to them, while rest of them can observe how the user is interacting. If you also can see on top of the customers or the user's phone, there's a camera fixed in so that rest of them can observe and how the user feel as well. That is very formal way of you doing a user testing, but it doesn't mean you have to do it in a very formal way. You can go out there. One of the product I have worked on is where we have some apps put out to this communication people where they sell reloads and sell SIM along with all the other competitors. So you can go out there and just talk to them, give out your product, give out your prototype, and see how they are interacting with your prototype. And then give them a task. Okay, do a reload and show me. You know, you are given here, do me 100 rupee reload and show me. Then you can figure out what sort of things he are feeling. At that same time, he's interacting with the customers as well. So you can figure out, so this is something I have done for a retailer where the shop owner will be doing, so some more customers coming as well. So you can figure out and empathize with them. He have to do things here and then he'll have to serve the customer as well. And then how does he do that? He had to do it in a faster way because time is money for him. You do 100 rupee reload and you probably get few bucks out of it. So you need to do a lot of reload to make that money end of the day. So it's how it goes. So these are some of the things you will understand when you go to usability. Just not your product, they are interacting. They have an environment as well. So you sitting in an office thinking, I put these through steps and it's easy for him to few steps only, 2 clicks only, and things like that you can. Whereas he has other things going on in the environment, so go out there, always go out there. So at the end of the cycle, so that now that you have done few steps part of the process, even if you do few steps, some of the steps, some part of the steps, it doesn't matter, but continue the cycle. You have designed something, go out there and test. Come back with the findings and then redesign it, iterate it, and go back and test again. And then at the end of it, you figure out, okay, this concept is not going to go. So you have to come back and brainstorm back again. So it's not following 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you go back 1, 2, 3, and then again 1, 2, 3 back again as well. So it is not like you have to follow in steps. So continue the cycle until you are ready. So you have done all of this now. You have done the design process. You have continued the cycle now that you have a product in hand with you. Are we done with this? Are we all happy with this? You are a UX designer. You have done all of these steps, all those fancy steps, coming up with a persona, coming up with a nicer design. You are done by that? You're actually not done by that. Following a UX process is not just enough. Before that, I'll just quick summarize you. These are some of the steps you would have done: research and discovery, analysis, foundation design, visual design, and validation. This is something for you to recap for your evening challenge as well. And then by doing that process, you're still not done yet, because your job is not over yet. Why? Because you have a bigger challenge. Now that you go sit out there in a boardroom and present what you have come up with your stakeholder or investor, who is going to give you finally money or time or more money and resources, getting their attention is way much more important than you end up doing a user persona, user journey. They are not going to understand. They are going to be like, how do I make money? But then do you stop doing all of that? No, you still have to follow the UX process, but then you end up when you actually getting the attention of your stakeholders. How do you do that? Show them the business value. This is what it's going to give you business value. Not just show them the persona, empathize and show these are your uses. Not just show them this is my design. Instead, tell them this is your design thinking behind it. What was the concept behind it? So it is a different ball game than doing the UX process, but then you end up pitching it as well. So that is your end game. Pitching it to your investor or your business is where your end game lies. So I leave it with you with this message. Not just following a UX process is not going to help you anywhere. It does help you initially, but then showing your investors the business value, the value you are going to give it to your user or even to your business is going to help you. So moving on to any questions? Looks like nobody is asking questions from the previous sessions. But I'm sure most of you all are curious by now, even to learn more about this or even to get to know more about it. So, any questions we are taking? No? Still no? All right. You can still reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, or even while we are here, you can reach out to me if you have questions. So, thank you so much for today's session. So we can wind up for lunch, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please put your hands together for Ms. Sujita Niroshan. Ma'am, truly thank you for that amazing session and ending this segment on such a high note. Well, undoubtedly, it was an eye-opener. especially the passionate and aspiring individuals looking forward to becoming a future UX designer by gaining the essential skills and understanding industry procedures and methods, and for people who are passionate about developing delightful interfaces and designing user experiences. So, we would like to extend our warmest thanks to our speakers, Ms. Vanodya Oshadi, Ms. Harshini Gajanayaka, and Ms. Sujita Niroshan for joining us today.
Head of Department, Department of Integrated Design, Ms. Melanie Disanayaka, the Event Chair of Design Code 2022, Dr. Sumantri Samarvikrama, and lecturer specializing in UI UX design, Mr. Buddhika Rodrigo, to hand over these tokens of appreciation to our amazing resource persons for the day. First up, our first speaker for the day, Ms. Vanodya Oshadi. And then, our second speaker for the day, Ms. Harshini Gajanayaka. Finally, our last speaker for the day, Ms. Sujita Niroshan. Thank you so much, everyone. With that, we are concluding the morning session of the UI UX workshop. Before wrapping everything up, there are a couple of announcements to be made, so please bear with me for a moment. The winners of the UI UX challenge will be awarded with a cash prize. In order to receive the prize, it is compulsory that your team members have a Genie account. Therefore, make sure to have the app installed for sure. And Mr. Tilan, manager at FinTech TPSA, is here to offer you guidance for the process, so let's hear from him now.
Right, good afternoon guys. Thanks for giving the opportunity to make us come in front of us and do the best deal of the company deals and give the best benefits from Genie. So altogether, you will receive the best cash prize from Genie, first of all. Before from that, you have to download the application. You guys already having the Play Store, right? So download all that. Then we are in the downstairs. You have to come there. We will install and do the KYC part. We'll give the best benefits from the Genie, and you will feel it very well. So enjoy it, and thanks to believe in us. We'll give the best service for you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Tilan. Also, everyone, please collect your notebooks on your way out of this room at the registration table. And for the ones who did not receive your lunch tokens earlier, you can collect them from the registration table as well. And you can also collect your lunch at the ground floor of the new QS building, where the afternoon session of the UI UX challenge will be held, and our volunteers will be there to assist you to get to the place. So thank you so much for everyone for participating, and let's meet after lunch for the UI UX challenge for the afternoon segment.